Hello baby girls, welcome to a new video. Again, don't mind the nails. I'm doing them again either today or tomorrow. Just don't look at them. Just don't look at them. Today we're just gonna do my January wrap up in majority of 2024. I actually didn't do many wrap ups. I would do maybe one every 3 months or something. And I realized I did kind of miss it because it just also allows me to kind of rehash and rethink of what I did. What did I actually think of these books that I read? What actually are my opinions? And also I feel like it's a way nicer way for you guys to like keep up, and you know, so you don't have to watch every single video I post, know what I read. But yeah, so this is just gonna be from January. The only thing is today's the 30th that I'm filming this, and I might still finish a book today or tomorrow, but probably not. Most likely not. So we're just gonna assume that I'm not gonna finish that because there's a 90% chance I won't. Let's just go with the assumption that I won't, okay? So in January, I read 9 books, which I'm kind of annoyed about because I really want it to be 10 or up. Fucking third world problems, huh? Let's just start from the beginning. So obviously, it's sad that I'm not home because otherwise I'd obviously show you the books because all of these were physical, except for one actually. So 8 out of the 9 were physical, but I'll just put them in the screen. I know it's not satisfying, but hey, deal with that. So the first book that I read in 2024 was The One Night Stand by Carissa and Lynch. This had been on my physical TBR for the longest amount of time, I'm not even joking, and I saw that there was an audiobook, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to it. It can't be that bad. Let's just listen. And I had been listening to this audiobook for a very long time. I think it took me quite some time to finish because it was around Christmas, New Year. There was a lot going on. It wasn't even that bad. It was actually kind of good. It's one of those books that you think is probably going to be bad anyway. It is about this woman and she's a single mom. One night she wakes up and she finds a dead man in her bed. She obviously doesn't think that she killed him because she wouldn't do that, yada yada yada. And there's like a bunch of secrets that end up coming out. Okay. I know the other lighting was nicer, but it just hurt my face. But while I was listening to it, it didn't really like intrigue me. I wasn't really dying to know what was gonna happen or who did it or whatever. It was more like, oh, okay. There's a lot more going on than just that. Like, I feel like that only really became the premise of the story at the end of the book, because like she has a teenage daughter and she kind of prefers to be with her dad and then all that stuff, and she's going out on dates. I feel like that was more what was going on really than finding out who was this guy, why is he in my bed. I give that a 3.5 though. Yeah, I gave it a 3.5 because I gave it like a few extra marks for the final reveal and the ending and what actually happened. Then the second book that I finished is The Killer in the Cold. So I started this in my readathon that I did during Vlogmas and finished it on the 2nd of January. Okay. I had told myself that I didn't want to listen to the audiobook of that, but I think I ended up listening a little bit. The sad thing about this one is that this is a big series. This is book number 5, I think, and every single book in that series has been a 4-star or above. Like, I've truly thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's not just like silly little Christmas murder mystery book. But this one did feel a little bit like that. I can't say too much what it was about, but somebody in the town that everyone likes and that you know from the previous books dies. Obviously they get killed and then they try to find out who did it, blah blah blah. The thing is that one, the ending was predictable, and I haven't predicted the endings of any of the other books, and 2, it was just very slow. It didn't feel like the other books. I don't know what happened. I'm so excited for the next one to come out, but I also noticed that I wasn't like dying to know what was gonna happen because I just didn't really know where it was going, and there was no structure in terms of like, usually I pick up on some things and like, oh, and this and that, and maybe it's that. Like, I had no clue because everything that I did think I felt like was too obvious, but the ending ended up being obvious. So. But I still rated it a 3.75 because like I just really enjoyed the series and it wasn't bad. It just, in comparison to the other books in that series, I was just a little bit disappointed. Book number 3 was Rules for Perfect Murders. So I listened to this as audiobook as well. I tend to just listen to Peter Swanson's books instead of reading them. I don't know why. I think all of them are available on Nextory. When I started this one, I was pretty confused because I was like, why is there no audiobook for it? Like, I can't find it anywhere. Not a lot of people have said anything about it. Turns out it also has a different title, but it doesn't say that anywhere in the book or on the book. But it's also called 8 Perfect Murders instead of Rules for Perfect Murders. And Eight Perfect Murders makes way more sense, by the way, because it's basically the premise of the story is that this guy, he wanted to be a journalist, he worked in this bookstore, and he was working on writing this list, and he really enjoyed reading crime books, so he decided to make a list of 8 perfect murders. So basically, like 8 perfect murders that you just like are almost incapable to solve, that like nobody could really find out it was you, like in a way like almost like what he would do. And then the police are like, hello, because people started to kill like in those books that he had listed. And he was like, yeah, but like it could also just be somebody who took inspiration from those books. Like, yeah, but they all fit in your list. And I really, really enjoyed this one. It was so much fun. I was so curious all the time. It wasn't like the plot, it wasn't very fast paced or anything. Just the connections and the dynamics within the story was just super, super fun. I kept noticing that I wanted to listen as much as I could, and I was thinking about it a little bit like outside when I wasn't reading. Okay, then the next one that I read was The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, and this one disappointed me. So the last Frida McFadden book I read before that was The Housemaid is Watching, and that one disappointed me as well. And this one I had such high hopes for. It just didn't do it for me. The book is about... Huh? Well, it's about this girl, and she's like on dating apps and stuff, and I feel like this book is very weird. You can't explain that book very well. I never like to know what Frida McFadden's books are about anyway before I go into them. I had so many great theories while I was reading this, and I was like, oh, and I like noticed almost all of the little Easter eggs. Like I noticed so many of them to the point that I was talking to Jess about it because we read it around the same time. I said to her, I thought this was this and this and that and stuff, because she wrote this and this and that would have been really, really good, and it ended up not being that. And then I was like, that would have been an amazing opportunity to write that, because that would have impressed me. But again, I guess the ending was pretty anticlimactic. Honestly, it was kind of like, well, this story didn't really need to be written. Do you ever have that where you're like, well, we're kind of now back at the start, this was kind of irrelevant, this doesn't really matter? And I was disappointed because usually Frida doesn't do me like that. The next book that I read is Running Blind, which is a novella in the Helen Gray series. So this is between book 6 and 7 or 7 and 8. I really wanted to read that so I could move on with the series. I genuinely thought that was the book I was going to read after that, but I didn't. Spoiler alert, I didn't. I don't know why, actually. I love the Helen Gray series, and I didn't know there were novellas until I read the first one, because there's only like 2. But it just gives you a bit of background information into the main character, Helen Grace. Again, if you're going to take anything from my videos, please to read that series. It's the most amazing detective stories, the most amazing detective period. It's an amazing series, and I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. I don't really have much opinions about it because it's a novella. It's just about some of her like first experience in the police force when she was training, and it's very typically her. I mean, obviously the author would know that, but it was just it felt very real and very accurate, so that was really nice, and I gave that a 3.5 as well. Novellas are always a bit awkward to rate. The book that I read after that is All the Rage by Kara Hunter, so I listened to that as an audiobook as well. This is from my Outbooks. This is from my Outfits Pick My Books. So All the Rage is a part of this series, and I read book number 1 and I was like, okay, I'm gonna find the rest secondhand, because I first bought 4 and then I found 1 and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna see if I like it. I decided like, okay, now then this 4th book is gonna be my physical TBR for way too long, way longer than I want it to be. I read the first book a couple of months ago and it was fine, it was good, it was nothing too crazy. It was just, it was alright, it was just, it was a story. But it wasn't higher than a 4-star, and I was like if I saw the potential that I would really enjoy it, okay, but I just noticed that like I was just kind of reading it to read something, and not because I was really excited or I was enjoying it or I really wanted to know what was gonna happen, and I just decided that it's probably not for me, so I'm just gonna read the 4th one and then that's it. And that's what I did. So I listened to the audiobook, and it was about this girl, and she got like abducted, but she was released, like she got free, she escaped, but she knows who did it, but she doesn't want to press charges, she doesn't want to say anything. But obviously that creates problems for, you know, what if they do it again, what if it happens again. And the ending of this book disappointed me as well. It was like such a typical stupid ending. I was like, that really? I don't know, it wasn't my favorite. I didn't love it. I didn't like it that much. And I haven't rated it yet, but I think I'm gonna give it like a 3. And then the next book that was also in that video that I read is Mile High, and fuck everyone who made me nervous to read that, because I had this book for quite some time and I was super nervous to read it. I was like, everyone says that this one's kind of bad, but you know, it's just standalone, like I say, interconnected standalone. Like me personally want to read Mile High before I read the rest of the series, but everyone's like, the rest of the series is so good, but Mile High was pretty shit. So I'm terrified going into this book, right? I'm posting on TikTok like, guys, wish me luck. I don't know what to expect. I'm terrified. I'm scared. Like, what if this is gonna be shit and I hate it and I get in a slump or whatever? This was good. That was a banging romance book. I will say there were some things that I didn't love about it. There were some parts where, you know, because it's about this NHL player. Is he in the NHL? The ice hockey player. And they're on this private plane because their season is about to start. And she is their flight attendant and they're kind of like bickering. It's kind of like a rivals to lovers. It's kind of just like Grumpy Sunshine. It was just like, the banter was hitting. But sometimes he would make comments about women and just stuff like that where I was like, but it was only like a few times. It was only at the beginning, so it was obviously part of his character. I could look past it, babe. I could look past it. But the one thing that did bother me is that it's a pretty hefty book. It's pretty thick, right? It's like somewhere in the 500 pages, I think. They, you know, at around 150 pages, and I was like, so you have that much and you're already doing all of that? Where's the slow burn? If you're gonna write a book that long, where is the slow burn? But then after that, nothing happened for a really long time. But the storyline itself was just very confusing. It was like, no, we can be together, no, we can't, yes, no, and it was constantly back and forth, and I was like, babe, this book could have ended a little bit earlier. But honestly, I didn't want it to. I was having so much fun because at some point I switched to the audiobook, and the audiobook of this 8? Who was gonna tell me that? Because I've been terrified to listen to romance because I'm like, that's gonna cringe me out, that's gonna suck, that's gonna be disgusting. But this was good, and I might listen to the right move as well. Maybe not fully, but I loved the audiobook of that. It was amazing. I loved it. Everyone who's telling you that you should be terrified to read that shit, that you should skip it, at least give it a try, because I had fun. I will say, I think the audiobook did definitely help a lot with it, because it's obviously a very long book and it does get a little bit like back and forth-ish. So with an audiobook, I feel like it's not as much effort to go through all of that and to experience all of that, but I just genuinely enjoy the characters and the friend group and everyone. Call me weird, but I think I'm actually gonna give that like a 4.25 or a 4.5. I think a 4.5 because I was like thinking about it for like a couple of days after. And then the second to last book that I finished in January is The Hike by Lucy Clark. Again, an audiobook. I've been audiobooking a lot. First of all, I love Lucy Clark. Okay, I love her. I've read 2 books by her, and those were both like summary books, either set in Greece or like on an island, and but they're thrillery, right? There's always something going wrong, there's lies, there's secrets, there's murder. But this one, The Hike, honestly not very summery. It's not summer, so I wouldn't be reading it anyway if it was a summer themed book. But this is about a group of women, and they go on holiday together every single year, and every year somebody else gets to choose, and they kind of rotate, and usually they go on like relaxing holidays, you know, spa, beach, cocktail, tanning, doing nothing. Now it was somebody else's turn, and she said, no, I want to go hike in Norway. Let's go hike in Norway. And everyone's like, okay. This was good. This was really good. So what I just really enjoy about about her writing is that it's very character driven, but it doesn't bother you. If I don't find the characters interesting, mostly character driven books are shit, but every character had so many issues within themselves that every single perspective was interesting. I will say at some points I got a little confused on who's who, but like I only know like a few names with a few characters. Yeah, they arrive and it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this trail. Everyone's like, don't do that, that's dangerous, that's scary, why are you doing that, don't do it, you're gonna die. And they're like, no, we'll be fine. But it's really good. You get into it very quickly. The story starts like that. while this did take a turn that I wasn't necessarily expecting, and that isn't like my favorite kind of thing in the crime genre, I did enjoy it. And the ending I did enjoy as well. Like the way everything was connected was very interesting. It wasn't my favorite by her, no, which just saddened me a little bit. But she has a new book coming out called The Surf House. Very excited for that. I also just recently, a couple of days ago, bought another book by her that I found in a charity shop, which is also a summer book. So I'm gonna be stacked for summer, guys. I'm not sure what I'm gonna rate it, because I don't really want to rate it below a 4-star, but it doesn't really feel 4-star worthy, which feels really sad to say. Wait. Sorry, I forgot like this massive thing that happened at the end. Yeah, okay, I think a 4-star is valid. And then obviously the last book that I read in January, if I don't read any more books the next coming days, which I probably won't, but Onyx Storm. So if you haven't watched my reading vlog of this and my vlog of the midnight release party, which is just one video, go watch that first. Go watch it now, pause the video, open a new tab, watch it, okay? Everyone who was disappointed can actually shut the fuck up and shove this up their ass. This was, I think, one of the best books in the series. Like, I'm still debating if I prefer this one over Fourth Wing or not, like, because this was a banger. I'm gonna rate this a 5-star, by the way, just saying off the bat. The character development, the storyline, the balance between action and like relaxation periods, in terms of like there's not too much going on that you're overwhelmed. There's like a good balance that you don't get bored either. And just the ending. Spoiler alert, I cried, and I never cry in books. I've only cried once at a book, and that was when I was 13, and I'm pretty sure it was me and not the book. It was a book about girls making a suicide pact. It was a YA book, by the way. But yeah, no, I've never sobbed. I've maybe like had some tears in my eyes, maybe one singular little like water there, but no, never that I'm like and that's what I had. Because how dare she read this? This is vile. This is vile. This is a vile book, and the fact that we have to wait for years probably for the next one is even more violating. Wow. I don't really know much like what to say about this, because obviously, 1, it's a super popular book. 2, I don't really know how to explain the premise, because it's the 3rd book in a series, and I feel like everyone knows Fourth Wing is just about dragons and Satan. There were just so many good things about this, about the character development, about the relationships, about the action, about sacrifice, about everything. There were so many like emotional moments. This deserves a special display in my room. That was all. Those were all 9 books that I read in January. I know I was kind of need to up. I'm 3 books behind on my reading goal already, and it's January, so. But I haven't been able to read a lot the last couple of weeks, so like the last week and a half to 2 weeks. So it's not my problem. It's not my problem. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you're excited for the wrap-ups to be back. Maybe I can do this in a more fun way. If anyone has an idea of how I can kind of up this and make it more entertaining, let me know in the comments. If you're still watching, comment this little emoji here, and I will see you when I see you.